that shows a lesbian couple. Now, why, Disney? Please tell me why. There's no reason for this DEI nonsense. So even Snoop Dogg, okay, who took his grandson to see the movie, had this to say about it.
Well, my grandson in the middle of the movie like, Papa Snoop, how she have a baby with a woman? She a woman. Oh, I didn't come in for this shit. I just came to watch the movie. Hey, man, watch the movie. They just said she had a baby. They both women's. How did she have a baby? Shh. The movie ain't over with. So it's like, I'm scared to go to the movies now. Like, y'all throwing me in the middle of that I don't have an answer for.
Well, he's thinking literally like every parent or grandparent would. Parents should address this on their own timeline. They don't need Disney forcing it down our throats. So then there was allegedly some kind of fake apology from Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg's people came out and says, "Nuh-uh, that apology was not from Snoop. He's not apologizing for anything." Good for you, Snoop Dogg. I'm a fan, okay? Now we turn to the trans shooter in Minneapolis. You know, the left is beside themselves over all of this. They can't stand that it's one of their own that goes crazy. And this is becoming a big problem, trans violence. Well, CNN tries to twist the gun statistics around and hang our buddy Dr. Sebastian Gorka out to dry. Well, you can't do that to Dr. G. He was having none of it.
Looking at 172 mass attacks in the U.S. between 2016 and 2020, 96% were non-trans men.
Well, no, because your facts obfuscate two things. You are using data based upon the predominant gun violence, which is gang-on-gang violence with zero ideological content. If you remove all of that, the gang violence on the streets of Chicago, LA, Detroit, then you come down to a much smaller data set.
Well, this is what the left does. They will twist the facts around to try to use them in their favor. But again, when you take suicides out of the mix when it comes to gun violence, you come back to a very small number. When you take gang violence out of the mix, you come back to a very small number when you're talking about public mass shootings. These random mass shootings that are going to affect you, as opposed to the gang violence in inner city Chicago, that if you're a gang member, you're most likely to be affected, or you live in that neighborhood, you will be affected, but not the everyday person. I want to bring in now Breitbart Second Amendment columnist, our good friend AWR Hawkins is with us. AWR, great to see you.
Good to be with you, buddy.
All right, AWR, how do you think Dr. Gorka did?
I think he did excellent. He's exactly right, too. They use this big, overarching data set that really doesn't focus on what's going on. And like he said, something I've been saying for years, people will say we had 43,000 deaths last year to gun violence, when in reality, right off the top, over 60% of those were suicides. And so that wasn't due to gun violence. And by the time you get done with it and you get down to homicides, you're probably dealing with 12,000 to 14,000 actual firearm homicides out of that claimed 43,000 figure. Because you still have to take accidental deaths and everything else out of it. So he was applying that in the same way to now these attempts to protect transgenderism. He was exactly right. He took it apart.
Yeah, he sure did. Let me play another clip from him, cut 8.
Which, of course, is not what we are talking about here today. So let's concentrate on mass shootings at schools, specifically Christian or Catholic schools. Then the data set is wholly different. So don't conflate different data sets just to make a political point.
The problem is that's what the news media does. They hate guns. When this came out, it started right off the bat again about the anti-gun crowd coming out there. And I think it was even louder because it was a trans shooter again, that they wanted to take the focus off that it's a trans shooter, AWR.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, I was amazed today when Governor Tim Walz, he's pushing now. He has confirmed he's going to call an emergency session to pass more gun control. Very interested in a quote-unquote assault weapons ban. I wrote at Breitbart. He said America has more guns and has the wrong types of guns. I don't know who made him arbiter of that, but apparently he feels that he is. And he wants to ban some of those guns. And what's crazy is he's saying all of this is he's already gone on the shame game, my friend. He says that if Republicans fight this, shame on them for letting this moment pass. He's already trying to shame. Not a word about the attacker being a transgender who said, F those kids, who said, where is your effing God now? Who purposely attacked during Mass, who purposely attacked a school because he put in his manifesto that he liked James Holmes' approach. James Holmes was the Aurora movie theater shooter who looked for a movie theater that was gun-free. And just like him, this attacker said he wanted to attack unarmed people. None of that bothers them. But they want to ban one of the 3 guns he used. That's what bothers them.
You know, it appears to me they had all the gun laws possible on the books. That didn't stop this guy from doing what he did. And I thought maybe there's one gun law that could have stopped him. And that is, if you're mentally ill, literally designated mentally ill by a doctor, you shouldn't own a firearm. Transgenderism, I think, is a mental illness. And I think it's proving itself as a very violent mental illness. Would you be okay with that?
I would be in a way, in a fashion. What I believe is if you're mentally ill to that degree, you should be in a facility. I believe that's where we've messed up. We've left people loose among us, my friend, who ought to be either locked up or in a mental facility. And then I don't have to pass laws that might infringe on law-abiding citizens in some way or another. I don't have to pass more gun control. I handle the problem by being sure we are taking people who shouldn't be in society out of society. That's my opinion on that. And I agree with you on transgenderism. Couldn't agree more. Every show I've been on since that shooting, people have asked me about it. And my friend, I said we got to get back to a day when if you are born and your name at birth is Robert, and when you're 20, you tell me you want to be called Jennifer, the proper response from me is, no, I will not call you Jennifer, and I will not call you George Washington either. Your name's Robert, and that's what we're going to go with.
Well, that's why I have you on the program. And you and President Trump are aligned. He just said over the weekend, we need more insane asylums. Had a lot of them in New York. I grew up in New York. There were tons of them. And things got really bad when they closed them down and let all those wackos out on the street. President Trump says, let's open up a whole bunch more. Of course, that set the left off. But I guess you're on to something, AWR, which is why we have you on the program. I urge everyone to check out your work at Breitbart, buddy. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, my man. Great to be with you.
Absolutely. The feeling is, of course, mutual. All right. Perhaps you neglected your health over the long weekend. I gained 3 pounds over the weekend. I did. I'm going to show you how to take it back. All right. That's next.